All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Chair Simmons, because I moved it up last week.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The agenda is before us. Mark, do you have any additions?
Mayor, the only thing that is slightly different is 23D, or the resolution number is 23, doesn't have this 10D. Is the resolution of support for Goshen is slightly different than the one that was in the packet, just a change in the acreage. Okay, that's it.
The minutes from the February 6th meeting have been distributed. Are there corrections, additions, anything on the minutes of February 6th? Anyone? Support. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Motion carries. Special orders of the day are always our favorite part. And the first special order is a proclamation recognizing St. Mary's Catholic Parish on their 150th anniversary. Is somebody here from the church? I don't see Mrs. Wall.
No, she had another meeting.
Oh, you're kidding. And she did all the work.
No, she did do all the work. She did all the work. I really appreciate the parish appreciates it. And the buildings are used by many different groups within the city. I don't know if you realize that. AA, the Garden, and last year we had the volunteers at dinner at the parish hall at no cost to the organization. So it's being used not only by the church, but many other groups.
I'm way taller than you are.
Oh, that's fine. This proclamation reads an appreciation recognition for the continuous 150 years of service to the Big Rapids community, whereas a Catholic presence first established in Big Rapids in 1857 to 1861 through the efforts of Patrick Savage, and whereas collections are gathered to purchase land on the corner of Marion and William Street in 1867, and the first church was erected in 1869. Are we close? Right on. Did you write this? No, I know who did. I guess you should wrong. I'm not go home. St. Mary was established as a Catholic parish in June of 1873. The city 1869. So we just proceeded them a little. St. Mary's Catholic Parish has proudly served our community for generations. Now, therefore, in recognition of the celebration of 150 years, the City Commission of the City of Big Rapids wishes to send a congratulations to St. Mary's Catholic Parish for the excellent service they have dedicated to the citizens of Big Rapids. Signed to the entire commission. And thank you. Thank you. Your celebration started in we'll display this in our parish hall on the wall. For a nice frame, what we got there. Thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Next, Mark, we're going to meet our new Director of Community Development.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Michelle Stenger is with us. She is not new to the community and started last week, and we feel very lucky to have her here as our Community Development Director, as you said, and we're just thrilled and wanted to take this time to introduce her to the Commission and the community, whomever is here. So, Michelle, anything you'd like to add?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Everyone's been wonderful so far, and I'm really excited to work with everyone as we move forward with some projects in the community.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Our study session today starts with Mark talking about the capital improvement plan, which was documented beautifully in the handout.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I know you get nervous when I get up by the computer here, but hopefully everything works. It's working so far. I'll preface this in a few ways. So, capital improvement plan is done for a couple of reasons, and a 6-year capital improvement plan is the standard that the state gives us. That's what communities are held to, and so that's what you have in your package tonight. We're going to focus mostly on what we're looking forward to doing or hoping to do in 23 and 24, our upcoming budget year, and this is a vital piece of our budgeting, which is underway. And so this is a tool that Carla uses as she starts to put together the budget. However, tonight's discussion, which will lead to staff asking the commission to adopt the capital improvement plan at our next meeting, does not bind the commission to any of the projects that are in here. It's a planning document, and that's how we use it. So if there's something that maybe just you need more information on, that is all fair game. Everything that's in here needs to be scrutinized by the community and by the commission, and we expect that. So some thank yous. The Community and Development Department produces the capital improvement plan. So this year is different than we've had in other years. It was started by Paula, and then Emily Szymanski did a nice job taking the ball and running with it as Paula left. And then I got involved and helped out more towards the end. So we had kind of a lot of hands involved here, and made it maybe a little different than in the past, but I know Michelle is going to be looking to take this forward as we think about next year. So Table 4 and Table 5 are what I point to. There's a handout here, and Table 5 is a list of all of the projects that were submitted by the different departments within the city. And the way we do this is we take all of the submittals, and then we get together as a group. It's called a policy group in the capital improvement document, and we sort of argue and discuss and talk about what's realistic, what we have funds for, what we project to have funds for, and that will result in a smaller list, which is Table 4 here, the recommended projects. And I'm just going to run through them real quick, and Mayor, if there's something that we need more information on, please stop me as I go. We have a variety of different funds, as you know, within the city budget. And the general fund is the first one we'll start with. So Tammy talks to us about how we are going to be expected, not this year, but in a future year, maybe 4 or 5 years down the road, of some major expenses in replacing election equipment. And so it was her recommendation to start preparing for that now. So that is the $20,000 is not money that we would spend in 23 and 24. It's something that we would use as a way of saving for the future. So that's the election equipment. The e-citation program that Danny has submitted is a system that is easier on the officers and easier on the public, even though they are getting a ticket. We get that part of it. But it's a quicker system that makes the interaction between the officer and the citizen easier, hopefully, and it links with our recorder, our system, our software within the department. There's firearms training that is a vital component to public safety, and our firearms training facility is down in Rogers Heights, basically near the expressway bridges on property owned by the university, and we need a better system of being able to keep equipment together, organized, and transporting it. That's the trailer and range equipment. The fire hose replacement is similar to the discussion about election. Hoses are vital in fighting fires, and we need to keep them up to date. And so periodically replacing fire hose. This isn't all the hose within the department. It's just a piece of it, and it's something that Steve is hoping and recommending that we do year in and year out until we get it all up to more modern hose. The fire alarm system in this building does not meet code. And it's a byproduct of two things: changes to the code and changes to the building. And so $35,000 is a lot of money, but the fire alarm system, we are in violation of the fire code as it exists. So that ranked up there pretty high to get that replaced.
But it's not sprinkling, right?
It was not,
Portions of it
yeah,
are, but not the whole building, true.
right.
Yeah.
It's just the sections that were geared off when we locked the doors. It wasn't clear when the fire alarm went off. So there were some staff that didn't hear it.
Sidewalk program is something, Mayor, we have done back into the 90s, and we've been diligent about not only building new sidewalk, which we've done a little bit more in the recent years, but replacing hazardous sidewalk. That's important, and we continue to want to fund that. We have money left over from last year, so you'll notice that this is a smaller number than we've done in the past. Traditionally, we've done $75,000. We have funding from a previous year that we look to carry over and add this to have a full sidewalk program for next year. Our master plan was, the master plan for 2020 was adopted in 2010. There are 10-year increments they go in, and it's a requirement to review it every 5 years, I believe, Michelle. And ours was extended. We find ourselves in 2023 with a point in time where we really need to redo the city's master plan, and we'll be working with the community development folks to find that path forward. I know that's something Michelle and Emily are currently working on. Local streets. You have a proposal in your packet tonight from Police and Vandenbrink to work and do work on the Hemlock Culvert. You'll remember we had emergency funding as a component of the flood from last May. There's $218,000 left of emergency funding, and there's recommendations to do work that will prolong the life of that culvert, and so that's what we're bringing forward there. Darwin Street reconstruction is preparation for potential future phases of our housing projects. There's water and sewer work that needs to be done on Darwin, and storm especially, and then redoing the road would come with that. Henderson Street is a continuation of our gravel street program. I think 5 years ago we started on a goal of paving all the streets in town, and we've been doing them basically one a year, and Henderson Street is next, and so that's what we see there. Skate park project, I think, is something that most are familiar with, but there's a proposal to build a skate park within Sweet Hill Park, and this $20,000 would be a match. Now, the commission is going to see a grant, is going to be asked to authorize a grant application that's due April 1st, and this would be the match to that grant. So that, if that grant was successful, would be the final piece, along with this $20,000 of securing the funding to build the skate park. Downtown signs is an interesting one. So the DDA fund had originally projected redoing the downtown sign that's on Perry Street. And then we have been also, during those discussions, approached by members of the community advocating for better welcome signage into town. Right now, we really only have welcome signs at 2 of our major 4 entrances, one on Perry and one on the north end near the airport, or the old hangar on the airport. Both are old, both need work, both could be much better. And so, not to make this too long of a story, but we have engaged with the folks at Ferris and the architecture program, who takes, in their small town studio program, takes on local projects to do designs, and they are interested in working with us to find a way to, or a plan, develop a plan to do this welcome signage into the community. So that's why the number is bigger than what you see requested, because the project changed in scope. So this is a placeholder, basically, to see what the students come up with, and maybe if it's something that the commission's excited about, would provide some level of funding. Now, I wouldn't anticipate it would complete the funding, probably, because signs are expensive, but we'll see. So that's what those funds are about. At the airport, We talked a lot about the extension of the runway. We would have a local match component in that project, and namely the environmental review, which is estimated at right around $300,000. So this would be our match to that, anticipating that that's something we're going to be able to do. And we're going to hear more about that, I believe, at our next meeting when Steve Schroeder, airport manager, talks to the commission about where we're at with the runway extension. We have 2 fuel tanks at the airport, one for 100 low lead, and then jet fuel as well. The 100 low lead tank is older. We have had that around and is it gets inspected. It is in need of replacement. This $120,000, thankfully, sort of coincides with the amount of money we were able to get from the sale of property at the airport. And that money is only allowed to be spent on capital projects at the airport. So that really is not something that would add to the subsidy that the general fund does to the airport fund. They'll be able to be funded out of the sale of that property, which is the idea. Moving on to page 2, we have the funding in place for Hemlock Park. This is a budgeting mechanism as much as it is anything. And so adding the playscape was something that the commission thought was important. We borrowed the money to do it. We have the $1 million grant. This is not the total number of the project, but it's the total number we need to budget. Now we get into sewer and water. We replaced one screw pump already. Now we replaced the west screw pump. Now we're looking to replace the east screw pump. And this is something that is important, and obviously it wouldn't be on the list, but it's also conversation for what you're also seeing tonight in the revolving fund application that Todd's here to talk about. Is something that we may be able to incorporate if we get funding through the revolving fund as well. Bailey Drive, as you know, is up for replacement. There's a section of sewer from Dexter to Woodward on Bailey Drive that needs to be upsized. So sewer comes down Dexter, also comes down Bailey, and when when that happens, the capacity needs to go up, and that's what we're looking to do in our project. Darwin has sewer work. We talked about Darwin, and we talked about Henderson, so that's sewer work there. Lead and copper lines is we authorized Gerber Construction to do our lead line replacement, and need to budget accordingly. Darwin and Henderson, we're able to. So the way this works, so if you tear up a road to replace the water main, you're able to replace the road portion that is done for that reason with water funds. Right? You can't just pave all the roads in town with water funds. That doesn't work that way. But if you're tearing it up because you need to put in a water main, you can. So that's why you see the street reconstruction as a piece of the water replacement fund. We have, down at the water plant, part of the process we've identified that needs improvement is a routing of the intake water around an aeration system that was put in decades ago. And too much air in the water can provide problems in different areas of the system. We've experienced some of that. So to eliminate that aeration problem, that's the $224,000 that's being recommended for the water plant.
We did that aeration problem. Right?
We bypassed it.
Oh, so now you got to
No, we got to take it out.
Yeah.
We like to keep the water towers looking nice, and the one up, we call it the Ferris Tower, which has the Bulldog on it right across from the ice arena, has mildew built up. This is full cleaning it, and that's the same for the reservoirs down at the ground storage tanks down at the water. Motor pool is how we fund most vehicle replacements within the city. Our dump truck fleet is aging. We need to start replacing them. You see one of those on here, and a police car, which the costs are rising on the vehicles, as we've all experienced in our own lives. And, it's hard to look at a $70,000 police car, but that's where we're at.
That's the one vehicle?
One.
What is it?
Yeah.
Completely outfitted.
Yeah, that's with all the equipment and the whole, yeah, so it's not just a vehicle. But that's the total project that needs budget to have a vehicle in service. Used to be 40 not very long ago. Now it's 70. So that's, yeah, one vehicle. Mayor, that is our list of recommended projects for 23 and 24. And as I mentioned, we'll be bringing these back to you at the next meeting. I believe it's on the agenda for our next meeting, asking to adopt. But happy to answer any questions.
And in the meantime, we'll come to you with our questions off the list.
Sure. Yes.
Anyone? Thank you for that, Mark.
Yes.
I do have one question. Ma'am?
Where are you? Can you stand and identify yourself?
Yes, my name is Ed Muccio. Just one question. Table 4 and Table 5,
Yes.
what's the difference between the two?
Table 5 is all of the projects that were submitted for consideration.
So the numbers that are on line items for Table 4 don't necessarily have to match the line items for Table 5?
Give me an example. And
If you take a look at the runway extension phase 1, it's $30,000 on one page and $31,000 on another.
Right. Yeah, it's $30,000 is estimated. I don't know what the 31.5. I don't have the specifics on that number right now.
Thank you. Others? Thank you, Mark. We'll, next time it'll be as a resolution to adopt.
It will. Yes.
Get your questions in if you have them. Mark. Next, the building inspection services issue is interesting because I got involved only because I sit next to the inspector at basketball games, and he quit at the county and went to Osceola County. So I knew early on that was happening because he's kind of a friend and said, I'm leaving my job. So that's how I went to Mark and said, what are we going to do? We got to have a building inspector service. And we're in the middle of studying that whole thing. And Commissioner Routley from the county's here because you're probably on the committee, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
Okay. So in the process, Osceola County came to the city and said, well, Aaron's up here now. Would you like to use Aaron? And we've made no commitment. We have only heard talk, and that's where it is right now. And I assume you can update us on what's going on at the building department. Could you please, Bill?
Absolutely.
Commissioner Routley, please.
Okay. Bill Routley,
Big Rapids City resident, mind you.
I'm a Big Rapids City resident. I'm also I'm county commissioner. And I guess I'm here to clear this up. First, I need to apologize to Mark for interrupting. I'm so used to being at the table. I think I need to ask you a question. I apologize for that. So, Aaron did leave, and unfortunately so did Michelle. But the word is out that those two have left and now we're helpless and floating in the water. And that's simply not true. At the time, Aaron, we have two building inspectors. We have an electrical inspector who is indeed a certified building inspector, so he can approve and review plans. Tomorrow morning, a lady very familiar with our building and zoning department, who was our lead permit technician for, I think, 5 years, something like that, will be coming back from the
Is that the registered deed?
registered deeds. I always get that. Coming back from the registered deeds and filling that position, and is very apt at what she does. We have had no glitches. We are we're business as usual. I was surprised that Aaron would reach out like that. I think there's a legal issue that goes along with that, because I know that he has offered to share some of his funds with you, and I notice your attorney has answered that in his opinion, so I think you realize that won't work. But the point is, we are up, alive, we've had no glitches,
and we are servicing, as normal. There's no reason we can't continue to service and work with you just like we do with our tech department, and I encourage you to move cautious.
Bill, I have a question.
Yes.
The electrician, is he a certified building official?
Correct. He is a certified building official, so he is able to, he's able to do that. He works part-time. Electrical doesn't require full-time, so we contract 2 days a week for that, but we are paying in addition until we work through the building official, and we've got a couple good leads there, so I'm sure it'll all be full before the heavy construction. Yeah. But we've got no issues with this.
Thank you. Okay. Questions for Commissioner Rowley?
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, you did a good job summarizing. I really don't have much to add. Commissioner Rowley pointed out there was an opinion from Brad Fowler. It's in your packet, so that's interesting. Michelle, who ran the department, who's also we'll lean on her for her wisdom in how this works, because I know she knows more about it than I do. I laid out 3 options. We might as well walk through those. We've identified 2. We could stay with Mecosta County. It's been good. We've done it for a long time. We've been approached by Osceola County, obviously another option. We had a meeting with some local townships, Big Rapids Township, I see Bill's here, and Jim Chapman, the supervisor of Green Township, they meet monthly, and there was discussion on this topic here, and there theoretically is some idea that we could partner in some way. I don't know. That's very much in the infant stages, but I put that on the list as an option. So, Mayor, these are just to get the idea on the floor in public and hear from commissioners or whomever else wants to weigh in, and happy to answer any questions that you have.
Mark, the county charges the building department a rental or some type of fee to have their business there in the county building. So with that rent, they can, charge that department whatever. So that's a way of getting a portion of those permit fees back into the county. Is that right, Bill?
Well, building fees, building permit fees have to be used within the department. Each department, we break down all of our buildings and all of our departments, and each is charged a portion of our IT, of our building, of the lot, or the office space, equipment, etc. And then that is all factored into our cost of operation.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you. Thanks, Mark. Anything else on the building?
I have nothing.
Nothing you want from the commission as of now. There's no action. Right now, we just stay where we are with the county until any other.
I know I won't put words in Michelle's mouth. I know her and I individually talked about it. One of the comments that came up was, if in the future the county was to sort of privatize or work with a contractor, we wondered about what that would do for enforcement. Aaron was always great. Like we had a North State Street property that we needed the building official, and that was, we have a comfort level working through that. So how that would work if it was a private contractor, maybe the same. I don't know. Maybe that won't happen. So I think there's a lot of variables right now, and just thinking towards the future what that might look like. And I'm sure we'll have many more conversations.
An example is Cadillac, I think, uses a private firm, and the county outside of Cadillac uses the county. So it's that way in all the counties, but everybody's struggling with this, I think, right now. I'm not sure, but I think it's true.
Our code enforcement, light, etc., is handled by the zoning administrator, not the building official. They do coordinate, they do work together with it, but the actual enforcement goes through the zoning person.
Thanks, Bill. Questions, anyone? Thank you, Mark. Yes, please.
Commissioner Crowley, could you give us an update on the timeline for replacing I believe you have 2 open positions right now. One is the zoning.
We actually only have one. Our personnel department met last week, interviewed 5 people, and have selected the new building, the new department head, zoning administrator. So all we're left at this point, we have an interim building official who can do the plan reviews. That's our electrical inspector. He is licensed, certified, has experience in doing that. So that's a difference. Just a building, can be a building inspector and not be able to certify plans and documents. Am I correct on that?
The building, you have to have a building official to sign off on anything, but the county also currently has a building inspector who's doing the inspection for the building. So the electrical is Mike, who's the electrical inspector, but also serving as a building official, is serving kind of as an interim building official while they find someone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mark? Thank you. Thanks, Bill, for clarifying and coming in. Appreciate it. Next is public comment not related to things on the agenda. If there is public comment, please identify yourself. The maximum time is 5 minutes for public comment not related to the agenda.
Betty, hold on, I'm getting you a mic.
You want me to hold on?
We want to hear you. We want to hear you.
Oh.
You don't need to stand up if you don't want
Well, this part, I mean, you
Yeah, no,
So
here
they
you
can
go.
hear you.
don't have to, I'm on, I'm on.
You're on.
Don't have to turn this on.
Yeah, see that red light? Yeah, there you just go like that.
Hello?
There you go.
Hello? Hello. Well, that's what I like to see, a smile. All of you. Good evening. The mayor and 5 commissioners. I'm Betty Hardy. I live at 517 I, corner of I and Chestnut. I have serious balance issues. Otherwise, I'm quite healthy. Actually, I'm very healthy. I'm very independent and have been for quite a few years. God, hoping and willing, I'm going to make 100. Thus, I'm here. I'm here to update.
Use the mic, Betty.
Oh, I'm not on stage every day. Updating and improving Dial Rise. I'm going to call it DAR because I'm going to be brief. My friend here is going to hand out everything that I've said here, so you may read along, and there might be a couple of extra copies. So Heather will know who they go to, I guess. First, fact that I've been told, DAR has been in Big Rapids since 1974. That's 49 years ago. It has 7 buses operating. DAR has phone operators. I don't know how many. Okay. DAR has several phone operators. There again, I'm not sure how many. The bus drivers, I've seen approximately since June 8 to 10 different bus drivers. I have met one bus driver who's been there for 33 years. I've met another bus driver who's been there for 20 years. I recently met a young lady by the name of Natalie who's been there for 2 years. All very efficient and very good. Legally, the drivers cannot, I said not, drive on State Street or park on State Street or park on Michigan Avenue or park on Maple. I find it difficult to communicate with those people who want me to purchase locally, et cetera, or dine locally, when I have to go in back of that business to park to go to. Back entrances have steps. It's very difficult to get up steps with a walker. I believe since June, traveling in Dial-A-Ride, or DAR as I call it, that the main issue or problem is time. And time waiting for them to get to you, and time spent getting to the destination, which is seldom direct. Time spent traveling, return home, seldom direct. I do believe, I really believe, after 49 years, it's time to update or improve. Now, my experiences within the last few months, to and from P.O. Annex from my house. Oh, yes. Remember, my house is still corner of Ice and Chestnut. So go to that annex. It's about 3 blocks as the road, the crow flies. It takes about 2 hours to mail a small package. To and from Paris Street, and depending on the time of day, for groceries, can take from 3 to 5 hours. On Paris Street, to the bank that has automatic front and back doors, to deposit or pick up my allowance. I've waited for 4 hours to return home. I've waited for the bank to close, sometimes to get a ride. Once stranded downtown for a street event where I had read that the DAR would close at 7 p.m. However, I wanted to go home at 6, and he called. I went into a store and asked those people, maybe I was not dialing the right number, maybe I was just, and that person and I tried for several minutes to contact him to no avail. So I finally asked a young man if he had a car, and he said yes. I said, do you want to make $5? He said yes. I said, yep, I got home. I've had 2 or 3 drivers drop me off at the corner of Maple and Michigan. And I said to corner. I had one, he said, no, I can't park there. Now my comment is, who's watching the store? Meaning, who's in guard of these 3 people? So why not on the corner? I have no idea. But I do believe that people should all be on the same page. my latest one. I called for a ride, and I got it on time at noon. I was the only rider on the bus. I want to go to 410 for Johnson. I want to drop off my taxi. So I asked the operator, could you drive me right back home? No, you have to call to make the appointment. Okay. So as I'm walking out to get on the bus, she's shouting at me and she's telling me that she can't drop me off if it's a dirt driveway. Okay, I don't care. But I said, no, I believe it's cement. She said, oh, well, if it's frozen over in dirt, we can't drive on that driveway. Safety. Oh, okay. So as we're driving up to the driveway, we stop, and she gets the phone out, and she calls home base. And she's talking to home base, and of course I can hear it. And I looked at the driveway, and it was very obvious to me, but maybe I can see better than she could. Who knows? but I could see where many cars had just driven up that driveway. So eventually, we did get up there, and I got to drop off. So I've seen cars double park on Michigan Avenue, letting folks off for whatever reason. I'm sure others have too. How about UPS, FedEx? Thus, I think it's very silly not to allow the DAR to park on Michigan Avenue. I can understand that they're all doing that. But I say, shame on the people who do not have the patience to wait for a disabled or a handicapped person. I have seen the drivers operate the lift and unload and load people on, and they're very efficient, very fast. They have obligations inside the bus as well as those lifts, getting them on and off. I don't think our traffic is that big on Michigan Avenue unless you're very impatient. You're very impatient, and I guess that's your problem. And I have witnessed several drivers, as I said. I believe also the other thing for a handicapped person is that they have automatic, now this is the big one. I know we won't tackle this one right away because it requires a lot of money. But I think it's a law that we should have automatic doors on all businesses or whatever. I don't know how that is with the government. So, lastly, Commissioners and Mayor, and Mark too, I have 3 prepaid cards that I want 3 of you to step forward and pick one of them and take a ride or 2 and witness this. It's horrible. It's absolutely. I have seen some people that are so far worse off than I am, sitting out in the cold weather. Good God. It's sad. It's sad.
Betty, I think that's a good place to end it. 15 minutes, I've gone out of my way, but I think, Heather, you're in charge of that department.
Correct, sir.
So I think you and Betty need to sit down and have a powwow
Absolutely.
before it comes
Heather
back.
and I.
Everything.
Heather's the boss.
Heather. Heather and I won't have a problem. We'll just shoot each other.
My buddy and I like each other.
Hey, Betty, is the taxi service too expensive?
Okay, you want to
No,
know
just
what?
a one-liner. Is it too expensive or what?
You want to know about the taxi service?
Well, if they're quicker and better, you got the money.
Everybody does it.
$40 in one day.
Are you
To
kidding?
go first, I went to Aldi, and I went to Colton. Culver's. $40. I've tried them all.
You tried them.
I've tried them all.
Thank you, Betty. I apologize for that dumb remark. I do. I didn't drink $40. Please.
Betty, I would just like to say, there have been many periods of my life where I have needed public transportation in the grace of a stranger to get food from work, to appointments for my kids, and I know that, as I imagine, as the city, you're going to have conversations with Heather, but our goal is always to improve things and make them better for everybody in the community.
And that's what I'm at.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it effort for everybody.
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. And so, the second page of what you've gotten are many ideas. I would think today, in 2023, we have technology, and it's been 49 years since anything's been done.
You betcha.
And who's watching the store?
Mark Gifford. Remember, right there.
You're getting pushy.
Thank you, Betty.
Are there other public comments on things that are on the agenda? Please.
Mine has to do with Walden Street and the bridge and the wonderful lighting. On this side of the bridge, it's like a landing strip in an airport. On the east side of the bridge, going up the hill, it's dark. They could take, I understand those lights are expensive, so how about taking half of them from the west side and move them over to the east side? It would at least give us some light, and with all the money you're putting into the housing, trying to sell more housing area up there, it certainly should warrant being on something to get fixed right away.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Others, public comment unrelated to things on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. If we're getting into general business, there is no public hearing. General business. First, a resolution regarding police and Vanderbilt to prepare the project plan for water state revolving fund.
Todd.
Yes.
No, go ahead, Mark.
No, I'm sorry. You did just fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, Mr. Mayor. What you have in front of you today is a proposal to prepare the project plans for the drinking water and clean water revolving fund applications. We spoke at the last meeting and gave you a synopsis of what those funds involved, and this is the proposal to prepare those plans. There is quite a tight deadline to get them done, but we're committed to get them pulled together, and I think one is a May 1st submittal and the other one's a June 1st submittal. With that plan prepared, the application would go in, and then we find out if the city is eligible for grant or loan and how that would break out. And at that point, you still have an opportunity to decide if you want to proceed with the project. And the proposal in front of you is for both the clean water and the drinking water. So basically sewer and water component.
Thanks, Tom. We talked about this at the last meeting, and now we're talking about funding that preparation. Anyone have questions for Todd? Anyone? I think he explained it last time really well. So, is there a motion to for the proposal?
So moved. Support.
Motion and support. Further questions? Annie?
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Motion passes. The next is a resolution from police to talk about the Hemlock Street culvert improvement.
Yes, and this is a proposal to prepare the design and permitting for improvements to the Hemlock Street culvert. Obviously, this has been going on since it flooded. The city's been the recipient of some grant funds to help repair that culvert. We've looked at several different options. We had come to a meeting, months ago now, and presented some different options and replacement and that sort of thing. This is a proposal to basically excavate on each side of the culvert and encase the culvert in some concrete and basically build a new box around the old box. We had looked at trying to get inside of the culvert and doing some repairs, and it just seems to be cost prohibitive to go that route. So this would help reinforce the structure. It would leave the old structure in place. We would hope that the DEQ permitting, Eagle permitting would be a little more straightforward since we're not going to get into the water course necessarily. But it would provide some additional structural capacity to the existing facility.
Questions?
How much extra life do you think that's going to give that culvert?
It's hard for me to say a number. Basically, we'd be looking at a new structure around the old one. So I think you could. I don't really want to throw out a lifespan, but we look at 30 years a lot of times as a design. This is a repair, so it's not a brand new structure, but from a structural standpoint, I think we'd be ahead.
And how long did that work take?
I haven't looked at the timing on it, but it would be pretty. We'd have to close the road down and excavate both sides and come up with a way to encase it in concrete. So we're basically looking at an option to leave the walls that are there right now. That would be like the inside formwork, and then we would form up on the outside and fill that space with concrete and then come right over the top of the culvert.
Talking summer 24.
No.
We need to have it done this summer.
I have to have my reporting back to the state in order to get the funding by September.
September?
Yeah, that was my deadline. So it's going to happen this summer, along with State Street. So it's going to be a nice
Business owners were pleased when we did the repair. Now they would be displeased that we do the repair. Shut the road down. Anyone? No?
Do we have an approximate amount of time that it would be shut down for?
I don't really yet. We've looked at how it's going to go together. So once we get into design, we come up with a time frame. And obviously, we're going to try and keep it as expeditious as possible.
Any questions for Todd or for Mark? Anything, Mark, you want to add to that?
Nothing to add.
Anyone? We have a resolution to pay for the design, permitting, survey for the culvert.
So moved.
Support.
Any other questions? Kim?
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next is a resolution approving a request to have alcohol at the North End Riverside Park for the Pride event. I think identical to last year's, from what I could tell.
Hi, I'm Darren Coleman, and I'm the president of Project Rapids. So essentially, it is the same program that we had last year for the festival. Is we will be having alcohol once again at the beer pavilion, and we need to have permission in order to do that.
And Artworks is going to be the people find.
Yeah,
the
yes, they are.
licensing.
Yeah.
That's why it's a convoluted application.
Right, yeah. Right, we have some people doing some things and some, but it's a large project, and we have help from many different facets throughout the community, as Pride typically does function in many different cities, across our country, and especially here in the States.
Any questions for the group? Anyone? Thank you. Chief, any problems last year at the Pride event?
Yeah. They don't have anything. They're playing this one.
Thank you. Very good. Commission, any further questions before we ask for a vote? Anyone?
Just a statement, Mayor. Thank you so much for bringing this to the community again for another meeting. It was an excellent event last year. I appreciate you bringing it to us again. Thank you. Thank you.
Others? I would ask for a motion to approve the liquor license, well, they don't use liquor, they have beer license for the Pride event.
So moved. Support.
Motion and support. Questions further? Anyone? Okay.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Subject.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you,
coming.
Mayor.
You don't have to sit
Thank
down
you.
and rest. Move on.
We're gonna hope for a glorious day on
Yeah, as are we. Sunshine, please.
Thank you. Next, we're talking about the sanitary service bid. Mark, why don't you describe the process?
Happy to, Mayor. So when to do garbage pickup, the city contracts with a vendor. We have two of which with us tonight, our two bidders. We have folks from Sands, Ben's here, AJ from Republic. So there may be specific questions. Both bidders are here if you need that. So we provide the service to the community, and then the billing is through the city. Then is a bit of a pass-through to our contractor. This is one of the longer contracts we have, just because it is more cumbersome than others to change. So we're coming off of a 10-year contract we've been on with Republic, and this is setting the stage for another 10. It's an initial 5 years with a 5-year renewal. And it's complex, right? As you, I'm sure, have analyzed, there's lots of different numbers in lots of different ways, different sizes of dumpsters, and different forms in which they get them picked up, and different timing that happens in. So it's a bit of a complex read. I know that you might find it that way. I guess I should speak for myself. I find it that way. We have a position paper from Andrea Chiava, who's works in Carlos' department, and is a direct staff person to our sanitation contractor. And her analysis is focused really on the residential side, which is, to put it in layman's terms, Republic is cheaper on residential, and Sam's is cheaper on commercial. I think is the way it shakes out. And then Sam's put together an analysis that was in your email. It's hard to read in your packet, but does a sort of full scope comparison between the two bids, and shows that they're very close. They're very close. Republic is the low bidder, all things considered, by about 2% or just a little over 2%. The commission may know, or does know, I'm sure, that we have a local bidder preference within our code, and it applies to businesses or individuals that are within the city and those in which are within Mecosta County. Well, Sam's technically doesn't qualify for those, even though they're local folks. The recommendation you have from staff is to work with Republic as our low bidder. And again, we have folks here who can answer questions, but that is the recommendation I'll bring to you this evening.
We have questions for the two bidders. Comments from the commission? I will make one comment. I'm always in favor of local. I think Republic does a great job. Always has. I'm a local guy. Anything we can to help the local folks, and you know Sam, I knew Sam, of course he's passed, and his son are very hardworking
folks, so that's just how I feel about every bid that comes in.
I understand that.
Bill?
Mark, did I understand you to say that Sam's does not have preference or does have?
Does not.
Why is that?
The address is the way.
1,636 feet. Yeah.
Other questions, comments? Please.
Question for Sam. Could you please help me understand what the 28% increase in the first year represents?
The 28% increase in the first year on the residential.
The residential.
Okay, so obviously Republic has a big advantage on pricing it out because they've been doing it for 20 years. And we were kind of just theorizing numbers and trying to come up with the amount of volume. You guys have this bulk pickup wrapped up into your residential weekly pickup. So when I'm thinking bulk pickup, I'm thinking ferrets moving in and out. You know, how much couches, refrigerators, all that stuff that comes in that when it happens. So we were just trying to come up with numbers and volume and trips and that was a safe number for us. It's nothing specific. It's just lack of not doing it before and knowing how much volume is coming out of the city during those times. So we got pretty close, I think, to Republic on that. But I can't without going to. I have so many spreadsheets. I mean, days, weeks worth. It's ridiculous. Without specifically looking at it underneath, I can't break it down per percentage for you. I'm sorry.
Well, that's quite all right. I know way back when I first started my career in city government here, I did a big project about garbage and recycling, and oh my goodness, I took a ride along with the guys on the seat that didn't have any shock absorbers, I might add.
Yeah.
But all that to say, I learned that there's so much more to considering in this service than I ever possibly could have conceived of just as a resident putting my card after every week. So I very much appreciate your interest in wanting to take this on.
Yeah, thank you.
Others? Anyone? Yes, please, Rosemary.
I will just speak from having been to the our garbage in the park. The Republic has been excellent in picking up, and I think one note that even goes maybe a little bit further than that is their consideration of the people in the park. And I'll give this one example. Had a lady in the park walking just on a horrible hill, and the driver stopped and said to me, "You might want to check on that lady." To me, that meant a lot.
Thank you. Others? Anyone on the commission? Yes, please.
So, Mark, there's a difference between we have our two bottom line costs. At the bottom, and it works out to about 2.8%, I think what we said. So, so if we were to move forward with Sam, how would the city absorb that cost?
This is pretty much a pass-through to the residents.
Okay.
Carla could better explain that than I, but this is the residents paying. So the city impact is, I don't want to say negligible, but it's on the back of the citizens, ratepayers, the users, however you look at it, for this business and residents.
So for the first year, their bills would increase 28%.
Residential, yes. I believe the commercial is the same between the two.
In the first year.
In the first year,
For the first
right.
year.
I was going to say the first year doesn't change, right? The residential would go up.
And then 0% for the second year, and then almost a full 2% lower than, not the rate's still lower, but if we look at comparison in our table for Republic versus Sam, the increase rates are about 2% less once we hit the 2025.
You're looking at it the same way I would analyze it.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna request a resolution. Yes, please.
Am I hearing a 28% increase in residential?
True.
Am I hearing that correct?
Yes.
So what is our now, $14 for the trash? It's gonna go up roughly 25%, more than 25% is gonna increase?
Do I have the number for you?
Sorry, they are $4, I think we figured.
Are they going to continue to pick up everything like they do now, whether it's a refrigerator or a stove or whatever?
That was agreed to, both sides. When you make the resolution, please indicate which entity we're voting on yes. So is there a motion? In other words, resolve that.
So I think there was a motion, like there's a resolution before us.
I can't see it, that's why I didn't know.
Yeah.
What does it say?
Is, to go with the staff recommended Republic. So when we
That's-
vote, we're voting
yes.
either yes for Republic or no for Republic.
Correct. That's the way it's
I
written.
believe.
I can't see it, so I.
Yep, no, that's fine.
But that's the way it's written?
Yep.
Tammy, that's the way it's written. Anything else?
Before we do that.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I had it right up here. The services agreement expires June 30th, 2023.
Yes, this is.
So we're in the middle of February right now. So we're not up against the timeline
No, I would.
situation where a vote on this is immensely critical. While it's important, we do have a little bit of time. Should we want that as a commission?
There's an issue, I believe, for Sam, that he has to buy equipment. And I don't think you get those overnight.
Yeah, so all the dumpster containers and curbside containers, I have to have a lead time for those. Because they do have to build them. I don't have inventory you guys are so lucky to have. But,
I'm not thinking so much in terms of months as weeks.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. A little bit.
Commissioner Upton.
I have a couple questions for the gentleman from Sam's. Where do you operate in other communities?
What's our area?
Yeah.
Almost to Fremont, up to Ashton, over to 66, down messing around a little bit in Howard City, just on that Northland Drive corridor.
So that's weekly pickup in those communities?
Yep.
Okay. So to add the City of Big Rapids, I understand you have to get some new trucks and new.
Yep, we're gonna have to, obviously don't have, okay, all the equipment for that.
So you have to build up your capacity to handle that volume.
Yep.
Where does your garbage go? Well, I know Republic has their landfill facility. Is that where?
Yep, I dump at Pearson.
Okay. Is there taking it to Republic's facility? Are you acting sort of somewhat as a middleman? There's an extra charge to you that will be passed on to us. That will be passed on to our residents. For that.
I have a rate there now. There's no, obviously as a company cost is cheaper for you guys, but it is Republic owned. I bid it out knowing and anticipating, cost, so.
Okay. Is that the same with recycling as you go to the Republic facility?
Kent County, no. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything else, commissioners?
Do you have any other municipalities that you serve? Cities, townships, or cities, villages, towns?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Thank you.
Further. Anything? Is there a resolution as recommended by the staff for sanitation services for Republic Services. Is there a motion? Is there support?
Support.
Motion and support. Further questions? The resolution is to utilize Republic. With a yes. Tammy?
Simmons?
Yes.
Paxton?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
No.
Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carries. Republic will get that contract. Thank you for coming. Next, resolution to support Goshen, Project Elephant, or whatever else you like to call it. Mark?
Mayor, this has been prepared at the request of some of the commission members, at the request of the right place in terms of voicing publicly the support of the city or not for Project Elephant or the Goshen battery factory that potentially be located in Big Rapids and Green Township. We have a resolution. I'm happy to read it if that's helpful, but staff is not positioned to recommend any one way or the other. It's up to the commission on how you recommend it.
This commission has never had face-to-face talks about Goshen. We all have our own opinion. We have not kibitzed or done anything that way. It's all individual. So this would be a time, if the commissioner desired, to make a statement if they'd like to. If they don't, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to support the project.
Is there support?
I'll second that.
Motion and support. Now, anybody want to make a statement? Any commissioner? Hearing none. Tammy?
Paxton?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
And Mark, how will you make that known? Will you do it separate?
We were going to deliver the.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, we were going to deliver the approved resolution to the Pioneer. I don't know if that's necessary. Is it, Kathy? And to the right place, and whomever else you felt was appropriate. That was the two things that we had talked about doing: the right place and the Pioneer.
The radio station.
Radio station. Good idea. We will do those.
Thank you. Next, I'm sure all the commissioners memorized the user charge report. 80 pages. Good thing. Mark?
Yes. I memorized the CIP.
Bill Stanek is the expert in the user charge system with Carla, so there you go.
I'd like to thank Carla for doing such a good job on it.
Thank you.
Amen.
She did a real good job taking over the fair.
Agreed. Thank you, Carla. There's a lot of work. Anybody who's seen the user charge would know that it is the way that we agree upon sharing costs for the wastewater system between the different users. So our different communities, namely Big Rapids Township and the city of Big Rapids, handle water differently than we handle wastewater. And in wastewater, the township owns the collection system, and therefore we agree on how we're going to share costs. And that is the user charge document, which has been approved by Big Rapids Township and been approved by Green Township. And it's a bit of an increase this year, 12 cents to be specific. And just happy that Carla has the knowledge and skill to work through how many different spreadsheets there are? I don't even know. Well, many.
Over 1,000 formulas.
So, recommend it to the commission to adopt the user charge as well.
Any other questions? We got the user charge. With a motion to approve.
So moved.
Support.
Motion support.
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Paxton?
Yes.
Thank you. Next resolution, on the city manager's appointment to downtown development authority, Mark?
The Downtown Development Authority is one of only a couple of unique boards within the city that allows members that are non-residents to serve. So, the DDA, as we refer to it, has a vacancy. Chad Nastoff is director at Horizon Bank. I don't know his title right offhand. I know he was very involved in the community and very interested in the vitality of our downtown, and is willing to be on the DDA, and recommend that to you this evening.
Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, we have a resolution to appoint Chad.
So moved.
Support. Motion support. Questions, comments, Danny?
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Oh. Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes. Next is a mayoral appointment. Mark?
Alita Haren has been an alternate on the assessment board of review, and we're looking to continue that.
Reappoint.
Reappoint, yes.
How often do they meet? Have they been?
No, well, it happens in March. Board review is in March, and they are open then. It's for a time period of, they are available for any taxpayer who wants to come in and have the issue with their assessment, that kind of thing. So, the board review in March, and they may have board review one other.
One's in January, one's in December.
Yeah, March is the big one.
Thank you. Questions, anyone? We'll hear a motion for that appointment.
So moved. Support.
Motion support, Amy?
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
There is no work session today. Is there unscheduled business with the commission or anyone else?
I can say something there.
Yes.
Commissioner Cochran and I know I've talked to some other commissioners about this, but investigating a city charter election, and I was wondering if that's something that the city clerk could do a study session on for us with regards to what's the timeline, what's the requirements, just some specifics that we could all hear. Again, that's something that we've talked about individually. The Charter Commission is something that does need to be done. Looking at some more information on that.
And so when you say that, when I fill out the timeline, what election are you looking for? It wouldn't be any earlier than November, right?
Correct. So I think the next one that it would fall on would be the November 2023 timeline.
And if you're at the meeting today, you're automatically on the Charter Commission.
Exactly.
Except that they have to be elected.
If it's an elected position.
I know.
Nine.
It's very exciting work.
It is very exciting work.
And Tammy, if for some reason we were able to make the November, what would be the next one into
Correct.
2024? Is that either May,
Probably May school.
the May school elections?
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to do it on presidential primary.
No.
It'd be May.
So the May 24 is the backup.
Yes.
Year to year, it's been a chore to find volunteers to run. So that'll have to take some time.
I think it's been
How many
an
people?
incredible amount of work for that
Nine.
election, not just the work of the Charter Commission, but work in getting, spreading word about the commission.
We're good. Anyone else have information today, tonight? We're adjourned.